Hello and welcome to the Unstable Coconuts. This is the podcast where myself and my two lovely children ramble on about things that we don't really know much about. So, how are you doing today, Sammy? How's everything going?
Good.
How's everything going, Lena?
I'm right.
You're all right? You're all right? Just something like that. So, what's new this week? Anything new, Sammy?
Been sleeping
You've
all
been
day.
Survived the coronas so far? You got no ronas?
No.
None of the ronas in you?
No.
No. Are you enjoying wearing masks when we have to go out to the grocery store? No.
No, you know that I'm not.
Yeah. Well, at least you don't have glasses. Lena and I have glasses, so we put the mask on and instant fog it. We just walk around in a haze.
And then for some reason, mine pokes me in the eye whenever I put it
on. You have such a small face. That's why we need a small mask for your small face.
Like a child mask.
The whole mask, we're just going to cut holes in the mask. You can wear it over your full face. No. So doing a lot of sleeping this week?
Yeah.
Yeah. So basically you guys, it's like we're working at a factory and you guys are third shift overnight and I'm the day shift.
Yeah.
I never see you. We come together for like a meal, if that.
Yeah, we come together for a meal or on weekends.
On weekends, yeah. So Lena, what's new with you this week? Anything?
Nothing.
Anything earth-shattering?
No.
You've been fighting off the Ronas too?
Yeah.
No
the
Ronas?
pollen, though. The pollen is going to kill me.
Yeah. Well, I heard you
too.
coughing. And I almost kicked you out of the house.
Me too.
I was like, wait, whoa, you're coughing. You got the Ronas. Get out.
Remember
Go survive
last
in the
night?
woods.
Dad, remember last night?
Yeah. Yeah, you were coughing last night for no reason.
Because I was laughing too hard.
Yeah, well, that had nothing to do with pollen or anything. It just had to do with you being a nutcase. And Lena, Lena being a nutcase and influencing your laughter. So
That's my job.
Yeah. So it was a fun karaoke night at home. So, but yeah, pollen's bad. Pollen's bad every year. Like
Yeah.
we haven't planted any more trees, right? So
No.
it's the same amount of pollen. I don't know. We always have year after year. It's like, man, pollen's worse this year, though. It's like, no, it's the same amount of trees in our yard. It's the same amount of pollen. We haven't had any new pollen. It's the same old pollen.
Yeah.
But I don't know the weather though, because it didn't get really cold over the winter and stuff. Maybe the pollen came a little bit earlier. I guess not though. I don't know. It's always fun when you go out and the car is yellow and you drive down the street and you're just in a yellow cloud of dust that's flying off your car. It's wonderful. So we should buy yellow cars.
That's why I suggested that a long time ago.
Yeah. So you buy just a yellow car. This way
Yeah.
we never have to worry about
I
it.
suggested that like a long time ago. I said we should get a Bumblebee car.
The original Bumblebee or the new Transformers Bumblebee?
Yeah.
Do you know what the difference is?
No, I have no idea.
The original Bumblebee from the original Transformers was a Volkswagen Beetle.
Yep.
The
Okay,
new
and the new
Bumblebee from the Transformers
Isn't
universe was I guess the first couple of Transformer movies that had Shia LaBeouf and Megan Fox in them in it. He was a Camaro, and then the latest one, the Bumblebee movie itself, he could be whatever the hell he wanted.
Yeah.
Which was weird. Which I think they made him a Volkswagen, right?
Yeah, they did at least
right?
once.
Yeah. So,
Well,
but it's
I
weird
think he
like
should
that he
be a
was able to be
Ferrari.
like he could be whatever he wants. So
Lena just said he should be a Ferrari.
there
Or
was a.
Tesla. Or
I'm trying to think if there was a Ferrari. It got to have been a red Testarossa. There had to have been. That car was so iconic that I'm sure that Transformers
Well, he should have been
had a red Testarossa. It was. I wonder if it was a good guy or a bad guy.
It was probably a bad guy.
I don't know. A Decepticon,
I don't
Maybe.
know.
Or
I've
an
never
Autobot.
watched a Transformers movie.
a movie, or the cartoon. The cartoon is the
Yeah.
original thing.
Well, I don't care.
I used to have Optimus Prime. We had his. For some reason, I was able to find. I had his tractor trailer piece.
Yeah, we did.
But I don't have him. I think I sold him. I sold all of my Transformers. And my
Yeah.
brother sold all his Transformers at a yard sale for like a nickel a piece. Something
Wow.
stupid like
you
that.
could have kept them for me.
At Modoc Park in New Jersey, in Hopakon. We had a yard sale in Modoc Park. And we sold our He-Man and we sold all of our Transformers for like a nickel a
Wow.
piece. Yeah. Unless Chris still has his. Uncle Chris might still have his because he's worse of a hoarder than I am.
That is
I just hoard
true.
stupid things like boxes and whatnot. He hoards everything from his childhood. So, what are you pointing at? That's all new stuff that I bought. It's not hoarded. Old stuff. There's a difference. And it's not, if it's interesting to look at, it's not considered hoarding, is it? It's collecting. That's the difference. What's the difference between hoarding and collecting? Well, I collect things.
Then that means
are
I'm not
interesting.
a hoarder because I don't have a lot of old shit.
What?
I don't have a lot of old stuff.
No, you don't have a lot of old
Okay,
stuff.
here's the
No.
deal. You're both hoarders.
No, we're both collectors.
No, I put all my stuff in a box. Put almost all my stuff.
Put all your stuff in a box? What do
Yeah.
you mean?
Like my big giant purple box that is in my closet.
Yeah.
I put all my anime stuff in there.
So you're just hoarding out of sight.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, you're collecting out of sight. So that's why all the comic books that are in my closet. It's not
Yeah.
like,
You said I could have them when you die.
maybe. We'll see. I might
That
sell them
got
before
morbid
that.
very fast.
Huh?
That got morbid very fast.
Lena, what do you want of mine when I die?
Your money.
Yeah. It's all tied up in comic books and other collectible items. That's just like Papa. All of Papa's money's tied up in
the
trains, right?
trains.
So we're going to get some trains. So, yeah. What? You don't want trains? You want trains? He has a lot of trains. You guys don't understand how many
He
trains
has
he
a lot of trains. We know how many
And
trains he
watches.
has. Have
Huh?
you
And watches.
And watches.
Dad,
Yeah, he has a lot of
Dad,
watches too.
Have you
Big,
seen
bulky
the
watches.
closet in the guest room?
Yeah, I've lived in his house. Like so
Exactly.
growing up, we lived in a 3-bedroom house in New Jersey, right?
Yeah.
And mom and Nana and Papa had the largest room, of course, and then across from that was my room, and it was the smallest room in the house. And then Uncle Chris had the room next to me, and it was a corner room, so it was bigger, right? So we didn't have central air growing up either. We didn't have air conditioning through the house, so we had window units. I was not allowed to have a window unit because my room, I only had one window and it faced the front of the house. And we couldn't have an air conditioner in the front of the house because it was ugly, right? So that's what Papa would not allow me to have an air conditioner in my room.
Wow.
So Uncle Chris was allowed to have one because he had 2 windows because he was on the corner, and the side window he could have an air conditioner in because you couldn't see it necessarily from the front of the street. And then Nana and Papa's room was the back of the house, so they had an air conditioner too. So they would just keep their door open, and we'd hang a sheet in the hallway, so hopefully their air would flow over to my room, right? All right. With that said, I was always mad that I had the smallest room, even though I was the youngest child. I was just at the smallest room, only one window, no air conditioner. And then Papa said, well, your room has 2 closets, because that was true. I had one closet with sliding doors, and then I had a small closet with a regular door, right? I was not allowed to use the second closet, though. You know what was in the second closet? Trains. Yeah, a lot of trains. All the trains. I think Nana's sewing machine maybe was in there and everything. Like, it was not my closet. Like, that was the bonus. They're like, hey, you know what? You have the smallest room, but you have 2 closets. And I'm like, wait a minute. I can only use one of these 2 closets. This is not a bonus for me. So with that being said, I also went in and I wrote my name. I wrote Mike's with a black permanent Sharpie on a lot of the Lionel train boxes and destroyed the value of those
You
boxes.
did.
So Papa never lets me forget about that. So.
Oh, he doesn't. He
But
never does.
They tell a different story on why I wrote it. My recollection was I wrote it because they said that's your closet or whatever. So I went in and wrote my name on everything in there because that was my closet. So that's how I remember it. They remember it totally different for some reason. I don't know. I don't know who's they're old. I'm not as old, so I'm assuming my memory's better. I'm gonna go with that though. So I don't know. Yeah. So that was the world. And then we got central air eventually, which was a lovely thing. It was great. And I didn't have to worry about an air conditioner in my room.
Or a sheet in the hallway.
Or a sheet in the hallway. They also put the sheet up in the hallway during the holiday seasons too, for like when Santa Claus was supposed to come and stuff. So we couldn't see, like if we got out of our rooms or whatever to go to the bathroom or whatever, because we only had one bathroom upstairs in the hallway. They'd hang a sheet so that we couldn't see what they were doing or if Santa Claus came or if the Easter Bunny came. It was really just to make sure that we didn't see them doing stuff. Because when I was young, they used to put up on Christmas Eve.
Yeah.
They used to set up the whole Christmas tree and everything. Like Santa would come and set up the whole tree and leave the presents and stuff. So
Dang.
yeah, that was a lot of work on their part. Eventually, I want to ask them how that transition happened. Like, did they? Because I don't think it was. Well, like after we learned that Santa wasn't real necessarily, like they made an excuse. It was like, Santa's too busy to do this now, so we're gonna put the tree up for him or something like that. You know, because they were like, forget this. This is way too much work.
Me and Lena figured it out.
What?
That
Santa Claus ain't real?
and the Easter Bunny weren't real because you guys put the Easter things on our computer.
I didn't put them on your computer, so
Mom
Yeah,
put
well, that was during when we had the Easter egg hunts or whatever with the clues. Yeah, that's all right. I think you also figured out my handwriting
Lena
on a note
figured
or
out.
something.
Yeah, I
right?
noticed that a long time ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, I lost a tooth, and you wrote a note.
Yeah, well, we were horrible tooth fairies. Can we just talk about that for a second? That tooth fairies, first of all, it's a stupid thing, right?
Like, how are you supposed to get underneath the pillow without waking?
Well, that's fine because you guys typically sleep. It was just I forgot to do it. We forgot to do it. Your mother and I forgot to do it a lot.
That is true.
I was like, I'm just gonna go to bed and totally forgot about it. So
Plus, I lost most of my.
I wrote you an IOU note or something like that or whatever. I don't remember what it was.
Yeah.
Maybe we didn't have any cash or whatever or any quarters because we were cheap ass.
You gave us 25 cents.
Yeah. Well, that's what you should get. Some people get like $5 a tooth. Like, screw that. No. You get a quarter, 50 cents for a molar, maybe. I'm a cheap ass tooth fairy.
For the front teeth, you gave us $1.
Did I?
Yeah.
I don't remember. I might have just gave you whatever the hell I had. To be honest with you, too. I don't know.
Just like
There's inflation on the because you talk to some of these tooth fairy, and it's funny. There's a whole I read a whole article about how tooth fairy and even like Santa Claus and stuff like that and whatnot. It truly, like if let's say you grew up in a poorer household or something like that, like Santa Claus didn't bring you a bunch of stuff and like high dollar stuff or whatever maybe, and then you go to school and you meet a friend who maybe has more money and like Santa Claus always brings them a bunch of really expensive things or whatever, and it's like it could almost be damaging to a kid to be like, well, Santa Claus doesn't love me as much as he loves you, obviously, because he didn't bring me what I wanted or everything I wanted or something like that. Same thing with tooth fairies, right? It's like, how do you describe that? Like, if you're talking to your friends and be like, hey, the tooth fairy gave me $5 for a tooth, and you're like, hey, I got 50 cents. Obviously, your teeth are not worth as much. Why is your teeth not worth as much from the tooth fairy?
Also,
it was a great article I read about it.
Yeah, Santa and Easter Bunny are kind of creepy. They just kind of walk into your house.
Yeah, well, first of all, the whole concept of Fat Man breaking into your house to leave you stuff is kind of an odd thing. And then a giant anamorphic rabbit leaving eggs around your house. A furry, yes. Leaving eggs around your house is kind of an odd concept as well. So, but whatever. But I digress. When you're dealing with mystical creatures, it is what it is, I guess. So, I don't know. We should have like a Cthulhu.
We have dragons too.
We have dragons?
Yeah.
Dragons. There's an annual holiday where a dragon breaks into your house?
Yeah.
Renaissance Fair. Maybe. So have Game of Thrones Day where a dragon breaks into your house and just burns something, leaves something burnt on your table. Burns cookies, leaves you burnt cookies to eat or a burnt cake to eat. How about that? Yeah. You have an ice dragon. It'll leave you a block of ice, and by the time you wake up in the morning, it's just a puddle. Just a plate of water. The ice dragon came last night. Look, this plate was not wet.
The fire dragon comes and just burns down the entire house.
That's not cool. Because you're asleep in the house.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
Except your room.
Except your room. It burns everything, right?
Yeah.
I don't think that no.
It makes a fire go in the middle of the night.
I don't think insurance would pay if there was dragons. But that was your excuse. My house burned down because a dragon came and burned down my house.
They're going to be like, get out.
Yeah. So, I don't know. You should have Unicorn Day or something too, where they leave rainbow poop. Rainbow poop for you. Unicorn Day.
Unicorn Day.
Oh, well. So yeah. So how were we talking about? What were we talking about? Oh, trains. We got in the topic of trains. We got topic of morbid things about what you're gonna get when I die.
Yeah.
That was a wonderful segue down the rabbit hole of death into mythical creatures. Good times. So, and income equality and classism and air conditioners. So, yes. Yeah. We connect those dots real well somehow. Yeah, why not? All right. So one of the things I thought we'd do, which would be fun, is I got these cool things called pod decks. Okay, and you guys, everybody that's listening, if you have podcasts or, they're just a neat little thing. Basically, they're like cards, and I got interview decks, and they have just random questions on them, and they're supposed to be like conversation starters or interview starter type things. So I thought it'd be fun to have a segment of just random questions where I ask one of you just random questions from the pod deck. Interview questions. Yeah.
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 Does it sound cool, Lena? You're about to fall asleep. Don't fall asleep on the podcast.
I'm not. I'm fine.
That's what happens when you stay up all night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I slept until 3.
Yeah, I know. Trust me, I know. All right, who wants to go first? So Sammy volunteered Lena. Sammy pointed to Lena. That's probably good because if we get her talking, maybe she won't fall asleep. So, all right. So I pulled out a total of 6 cards. I have 3 cards in each stack. Which stack? I'll let Lena choose what stack she wants. Okay. This one?
Yeah.
The one on my left hand. Okay. All right. So first question. All right, Lena, what is one bad habit that you're trying to get rid of?
Biting my nails.
Biting your nails?
Yeah, and touching my face.
You don't like biting your
Yeah.
nails? Why don't you like biting your nails?
Because I want to grow them out because my nails look like my hands just look so gross and like childish. Like they're so small. But like when I have longer nails, I feel like more confident about my hands. I don't know.
That's why you put the fake nails on, though.
Yeah.
You don't bite your fake nails, do you?
No.
I'd worry about chewing on them. I bite
I mean,
my
like I
nails,
chew.
too.
I
on
bite
them, but,
my
like, they
nails
don't,
too.
like-
You chew on the fake nails? Nice.
Yeah, we I think we all bite our nails.
So, they make this stuff that was it's like real sour. It used to be like sour apple stuff that to help kids break their habit. And like I'm looking at it nowadays. So when I was a kid, candy wasn't like sour. Like there was not a lot of sour candy. It was all sweet candy, or we had like Fireballs, which were really, really hot, right? And then eventually like Warheads came out and they were real sour. And nowadays there's a lot of sour candy with Sour Patch Kids.
Yeah,
and
but
like
most of it's like sour and sweet.
yeah, but there's definitely more of a sourness to a lot of candy nowadays. And I think like this nail stuff probably wouldn't be as effective because kids are used to eating sour stuff as much, you know?
Yeah. I heard someone and they like put like ginger or something on their nails.
I love the taste of ginger, so that would not do good for me. So I'm a big fan of ginger. So
I'll put sour on yours because you don't like
yeah,
sour.
I don't like sour at all. Yeah, but I'm not a big fan of sour at all. I like sour, certain sour drinks, but definitely not sour candy or whatever. So I don't know. I think if you powered through it though, you'd get used to it.
Yeah, that's how I got used to it.
Wouldn't matter anyway.
I got used to it thanks to sour watermelon.
Yeah, so we got to switch it up. Sometimes we go sour, sometimes we go spicy. We got Lena's fingers become like her own little boneless chicken wings. That's dangerous. Next thing you know, she's taking bites out of Nubs. What's up, Nubby? I'll call you Nubby from now on. What'd you do? I don't know. I was asleep, and all of a sudden I woke up, and I had this dream that I was eating boneless chicken wings, and and my fingers were gone. Call me Stumpy. Oh, spicy would not be good either because you'd rub your face too, rub your eyeball, and your eyeball would just be like, oh god. I've done that before cooking where I'm cutting a pepper up and then touch my face. Oh,
You have.
yeah, that's the YouTube show Hot Ones. I love that show. Have you seen that?
No.
Oh.
Where it's an interview show and the host, there's 10 wings or 6 wings or something like that, and it progressively gets hotter and hotter and hotter or whatever. And he always like people start sweating and their eyes start tearing up, and like people go to touch their face, and the host is always like, "Don't touch your face! Don't touch your face! Don't touch your eyes!"
I
You know?
do this. Like,
Yeah. So
Purposely.
there's a Gordon Ramsay episode of that.
Oh no.
Yeah. And he brings so much stuff with him. Like he's like starts out with just like milk and then sugar water and then like eating donuts and just trying to like squash the fire that's in his mouth and everything. It's a very funny episode. There's a lot of cursing going on being Gordon Ramsay, but it's a very interesting episode definitely. But there's a lot of cool episodes on there. Billie Eilish was on it. They had vegan wings, vegan boneless wings. Because she's vegan, so it was very interesting. So yeah, eventually, I don't think hot would work for you. Sour might not work for you either.
Nothing will work.
So Papa, I guess it's my great aunt. We'll call her Aunt Tilly and Uncle Frank. So I think it was my grandmother's sister, right? So it's Papa's aunt, really. They had a chicken farm, and Papa used to go, and his sisters used to go on the chicken farm when they were younger, during the summer and stuff like that, and. They used to put gross stuff on his fingers so he would stop biting his fingers at the chicken farm. So, to break that habit. So that's the one habit is biting your fingernails?
Yeah.
I'm horrible with that. I'm
Me too.
1 years old and I still bite my fingernails.
Yeah.
And like touching
But-
my face. I don't want to touch my face anymore.
Why not?
Because like it's bad for your skin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you do that with makeup anyways. And you like your
You
skin.
probably-
I'd be more worried about smearing makeup and not realizing it. So that's when, with the whole quarantine thing and the coronavirus thing, they tell you not to touch your face or whatever. And it's definitely one of the hardest things. Like, we don't even think about it. It's just so normal for us to touch our face and do whatever, as far as
Yeah.
like wipe our face or wipe our eyes with our hands, or just me with my beard. I'm always like, that's one of my biggest things. We go out, like I'll go out to the wasteland to the grocery store to go shopping for us for the week. And I got to really make sure that I'm not stroking my beard before I come home and wash my hands and everything. Especially with having that stupid mask on, because it's very uncomfortable with the beard. So there's a lot of condensation going on. It's not a good time. So, all right. So, do you think you will be able to work on those bad habits? What are you doing to, you're just trying to be more conscious about it?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I can put hot sauce on your fingers and your face.
Nope.
No? Put hot sauce on your face, so if you touch your face and then go to bite your fingernails, you get hot. Or I can put sour stuff on your face. So when you
And put
touch your
hot stuff
face,
on my fingers.
yeah, there we go. So it's like 2 in 1.
Yeah.
It's to touch your face and then bite your fingernail. you know that you've done both bad habits.
Yep.
All right. All right. Do you want to, should we hop over? Let's hop over to Sammy. Let's ask Sammy a question from the other stack that I have here. Oh, there's a good one. What's your recurring nightmare, Sammy? Do you have a recurring nightmare that happens over and over and over again?
I don't think I do.
No?
I do.
Do you?
Yeah.
No, my dreams are really weird and they like are all different.
Yeah.
Dreams.
I have some weird dreams.
Yeah.
Supposedly right now going on with quarantine, there's a lot of people having very odd dreams because people's
Yeah.
sleep cycles are different and
Yeah.
everything. So, and there's stress levels going on obviously with
It
people,
was
some
very
anxiety and
weird,
everything.
Yeah.
What kind of weird dreams do you have?
So the most recent one that I can remember, it was really strange. So I was hanging out with my friends.
Mm-hmm.
Then we were being weird, and something like strange happened, and I don't know. They all just randomly disappeared.
It just poofed out of existence? Just poof gone?
No snap.
That's amazing. It was a Thanos snap. Did they turn to dust and float away or just poof gone?
God.
Just poof gone?
And I was alone.
That's weird. What does that mean?
I don't know.
That's some psychology stuff right there. We should get a book on dreams and see what that
I just
means.
Google it.
You just Google your dreams. I had, was it last night or night before? I had some crazy dreams that were very Salvador Dali-esque. Like everything was kind of melty or surreal, like drippy, or things had very long legs. It was like a cross between like Salvador Dali and Tim Burton-ish type of things. Like nobody was normal except for myself, but everything else around was very, very odd. And everything was very like super hyper colored too. Like the super saturated craziness. I remember that. I don't remember what happened in the dream. I just remember the visuals were very, very odd.
Yeah, I
So-
don't know why my friends just randomly disappeared from doing
Just
like
poofed out
something
of
weird. We were
existence.
doing something weird. I don't remember what it was,
I
but they
think-
just randomly poofed away.
Poofed
I
away.
think the weirdest non-nightmare dream that I've had that I can remember is that I went to the same school as like Jimin, and like, but
Jimin
like,
from BTS.
yeah, but like,
Your favorite BTS member?
you didn't walk. There was like people movers everywhere, and they were like going like really fast. But like for some reason, like I jumped off, but they were like literally everywhere, and I just wasn't moving. So I don't know like what happened there. And then
That's like almost to the point of like Wall-E-esque. Instead of being in floating chairs, we have people movers. That's step one.
Yeah.
And step two is in floating chairs.
But like there was literally nowhere you could walk on your own.
My favorite thing in the airport is walking on people movers because you feel
Yeah.
so fast because you're walking normal and the people movers moving too, right? So you see the people walking that's not on the people mover but walking in the middle of the airport and you're just like double the speed of them. It's the crazy. You feel like a superhero. It's wonderful. I love walking. And then the end comes and you're like, you got to mentally prepare for that all of a sudden you hit like this wall of normality and it's like your body's just like "Brrr," and like it's like this
Just go back
reverse.
around.
Yeah.
Go back around.
Well, you can't. The beam mover's going one way. You got to get off of it though.
You can walk through the middle.
I'm just saying though, the second you step off of the people mover back onto regular ground,
It's weird.
it's a weird sensation because you were like hyper speed, and then all of a sudden you take a step and there's no forward movement except for just your forward movement. So it's a very jarring feeling when that happens. Like I always prepare for it. Like I see, like I'm not like over prepared for it, right? Like I'm not like halfway going,
Yeah.
oh shit, here it comes. I'm like, like right up when it's about to happen. I got like two more steps, and I'm like, all right, just prepare. It's the same thing when you get on like a bus or a train, right? It's like, all right, well, they're gonna move, so you brace yourself for that, your momentum change. Same thing on the people mover. But I love walking on people movers.
So like at Orlando for our Orlando trip in 8th grade, there was the people movers to get like
At Universal Studio?
Yeah. We went on those. I almost tripped. I like was getting off and then I almost tripped.
Yeah.
But like I didn't trip over the thing.
I think
It was, like,
it's weird. Like we all understand escalators, right? Like it's very rare that we're gonna have a problem with an escalator in today's world. I think we can get on and off of them pretty good once you learn that, right? And they're very common. But people movers is still. It's not like, again, if you go to the airport a lot, yeah, you're pro.
Yeah.
Same thing with like in New York, people that get on the subway for the first time, they're not used to like that movement, or even here, in Atlanta or whatever, they get on MARTA or whatnot.
Yeah.
That momentum change or whatever. And people that have ride it all the time, they know it. So yeah, people movers are fun though. I like people movers. So I want a school full of fast people movers. That's
Me
awesome.
too.
Yeah, I think about it.
That would be cool.
Did they go over each other like
Yeah.
bridges, like spaghetti junction of
Yeah.
people movers?
But like there was also like a subway there.
Yeah.
Like the train. And like I don't know why it was there. It was just there. Like it didn't do anything.
Yeah.
But like I was like I got off the people mover somehow. And then boom, there was Jimin, and I was like, "Oh."
Hello.
And what happened? Did you have a conversation with him?
I don't know, he was like really tall.
Which is the opposite of Jimin.
Well, he's taller than me. And
Not
I was just
much.
looking at him and I was like,
You're taller than I expected
"Whoa."
you to be.
Like I don't think I even said anything. I think I think we just walked away.
Really?
That was interesting.
That's a quality meeting.
Yeah.
That's what was it? Community. I've been watching Community on Netflix, and when Troy met LeVar Burton, and was like, I just wanted a signed picture. I didn't want to meet him because his expectations, and he just froze. So that was you.
Yeah.
At least you didn't start screaming and run away. So, all right. So that's fun. So reoccurring nightmares, not really one to have, huh? Just fun, weird dreams.
Different
Interesting,
weird
poofy dreams.
Different
Can't
dreams
relate.
that happen every day, but most of the time I forget them.
All right. Next question for Lena.
Mhm.
All right. What are you currently curious about? Is there anything that you're curious about that you want to learn more of right now?
I want to learn when I can go hang out with my friends.
Yeah, when the Corona quarantine is going to be over? Is that it? That's the big one. I'm very curious on when normal life can come back.
And what high school is going to be like.
Yeah, well, that's a big thing. You're done with 8th grade, going into, you're going to be a stinkweed freshman.
Oh, I'll be in the big part of the school.
Yeah, so that's something that you guys at North Cobb here in Georgia, they have a freshman academy. So they separate out the freshmen from the rest of the general population. It's like talking about jail
the problem
terms.
is I'm not going to know where any of my classes are now because they're usually in the academy.
Yeah, well, that's you got to learn the rest of the school.
Now I got to know the rest of the school.
So you only last year for freshman academy, you only left freshman academy for like electives, right?
Yeah, Japanese and my intro to drafting.
And you had to tiptoe out into the real world.
Intro to technology.
Yeah. So hopefully they'll have hopefully, I don't see why not, but hopefully we'll be open and you'll be going back to school, not just starting high school as an online school. So do you think that everything will go back to the way it was before?
Yeah.
Yeah. You think we'll transition back? You don't think anything will really change?
No.
No. They're saying there's no proof necessarily that you're immune if you get coronavirus and you've had it in the past, they're saying that some of the studies are showing that doesn't necessarily mean that you can't get it again type of thing. So you don't necessarily build up immunities to it.
Mm-hmm.
So I was, I don't know, thinking about like, that's great. Like that means we can't even get like a vaccine for it or anything like that, right? Because it doesn't matter. So it'd be like if you got chickenpox, right? You know that if you had chickenpox or you get the vaccine for chickenpox, the likelihood of you getting them again is very, very minimal, because your body builds up those antibodies and fight it off. With the coronavirus, some of the studies are showing that might not be the way it is. It may be, and some other study shows that it might be. So it's a lot of interesting information. Obviously, we need to listen to the scientists about it.
I'm just after the coronavirus is over, and hopefully we don't.
I just want
to know that if the coronavirus ends like right before we go back to school. I wonder because we had a freshman day where we actually went to the school and got
you had orientation
classes and orientation.
I think that's when you got your schedule and stuff too, right?
Yeah. No, just our homeroom because then we got our homeroom teacher.
If school's gonna start like later.
I don't know. It ended early.
Yeah.
For you guys. So so it's gonna be interesting to see what happens going forward. We have a couple months.
And are we gonna get our stuff out of our locker?
Yeah, well, you still have stuff at the middle school. Well, heck, we have like your
my bassoon.
your bassoon that needs to be returned because I am paying for that.
You can have it back. I don't want to play anymore.
That's something that needs to get returned. So there's got to be some kind of exchange,
Especially
I don't know. They're
for
just
the
like I said. They're
ninth
just gonna go
because they don't know their
through
way
and burn
around the
everything in
school.
your locker. Just janitor walk through with a flamethrower hitting on the locker.
Because the 9th grade had like an orientation where you walk through the school and you got to see your homeroom class, meet your homeroom teacher, and then the first day of school you go to your homeroom teacher and then get your schedule.
Yeah, I remember that. I remember that because I was trapped with the parents.
Yeah, you were trapped with the
stuff.
parents, and I was standing in a
I was
line.
like, I want to go see what the freshman academy. I've never been into the freshman academy as a
Yes.
parent.
I have.
You
It was
have?
very scary.
No, I haven't.
Once when you went in.
Oh yeah, for one meeting. Yeah,
one
yeah.
meeting.
But so I don't even like that was it. I went to that one place and that was it though.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know anything about it
I'm
because during
scared.
that tour
you
they
went
didn't
to the
show us it.
office.
Yeah, I went to the office and they're like,
Yeah.
Doo-doo.
The best part is the freshman
"Was it Star
academy.
Trek all of a sudden?"
What?
Is it, oh, you're thinking the Office theme song? I thought it was Star Trek for a second there in the background, but it's the Office. Go on.
So the freshman academy is connected to like one other part of the school.
Mhm.
So like you can like go to that part of the school, but then you have to go out
Yeah.
to get it.
Yeah.
To go out, then go to a different area.
Yeah, I think it's very beneficial that they need to do a tour, but we'll see what happens. We'll continue.
Yeah.
Georgia for some reason seems to be very, very fast with trying to open things up or not.
And then they open the park trails back up.
Yeah,
already.
some businesses are opening up already and stuff like that.
The hair
so,
places and nail places are back up.
yeah, so
Finally.
and restaurants, some restaurants and stuff too. So, but there's it's up to the business
And
owner whether
bowling
they want to.
alleys.
Yeah, bowling alleys, which is very odd. I don't understand that, but whatever. Like we got a bowl. We got a bowl. We need to bowl. I'm surprised they didn't be like, well, I guess the gun ranges are open already because gun stores are essential businesses. They never closed. So I was surprised being in Georgia that they weren't like gun ranges are open, but they never closed. So never mind.
They never closed.
They never closed. Yeah. But, yeah, I don't understand like what bowling got lumped. Like, there must be like a very strong like bowling lobby in Georgia, and they were like, listen, Brian Kemp, we need to get them bowlers back in there because it's important. So
like nails and hair and
Restaurants.
some restaurants.
and I don't know theaters too, or
Yeah,
no,
theaters,
right?
theaters,
Theaters because I know Final Air Drive-In, the Starlight Drive-In is
Yeah.
open again, which I was very upset about last weekend. That it was closed because I figured out of all the businesses, like, and I understand it. I totally get it. It was part of the whole. They're not considered essential. I think there is definitely some entertainment that should be considered essential for people. And as far as I'm concerned, drive-in makes perfect sense as long as everybody stays in their car. You don't get out of your car. The concession stand's not open or anything like that. There was only one theater in, I think, Florida that was the drive-in. It was a drive-in theater in Florida that last weekend or the weekend before that. That was the only movie theater. So all box office, how they do like the top movie of the week or whatever, and gross and everything. Every single dollar that was generated that weekend came from that one drive-in.
Wow.
Because none of the other ones are open or anything like that. It was pretty wild. So I think it's kind of cool. I think we'll wait to see how people react to it.
Yeah.
See, I didn't realize that the drive-in was closed
Me
until
either.
I was like, hey, what a great idea this weekend. Maybe we'll go see a movie at the drive-in. And then I looked it up and said it was closed. So now that it reopens, I want to see what people do first.
Yeah,
how crazy they are.
I think they
before
closed
we
it
go.
because people had to like get out to go to the bathroom.
Yeah,
and
well, it's
they-
still, obviously there's definitely consideration to think about employees with that, right? Obviously somebody has to run the projectors and all that kind of stuff. I would think that that's a very minimal contact. Usually somebody running a projector,
Yeah.
and I'm not sure how their projectors are set up. They might be in one room, and 5 people or whatever in one room in
Yeah.
close quarters. I don't know, but they were closed because they were they were an entertainment. They were not considered essential business, so
Yeah.
it didn't matter that it was a different format. All movie theaters were closed,
Yeah.
and include our drive-in. How nice of it though for us to actually have a drive-in.
Yeah.
You guys, I don't know if you remember going to the drive-in. Do you remember going to the
I
drive-in?
remember going one.
Not really.
It's double features. It's lovely. You see 2 movies.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's a good time. So they used to have an incredible car show there, and it was a weekend thing. You like camp there and stuff like that. And they showed different themes. Like so, they had like old sci-fi movies one year. They had old horror movies one year, stuff like that, zombie movies and everything. It was called Dixie Fried. It was an incredible car show. A lot of like cool stuff during the day bands. We went a couple of times. I don't know if you guys remember or not. You guys always hated car shows because I don't know why. But
When
they
I
had-
was younger, I didn't want to just look at cars though.
yeah, there's a lot of cool cars though. So, but they had like it was all very, very 50s ish type of. They had pinup contests. They had great bands and stuff. Hot Rod Walton, the Psycho DeVille's. The first time I heard from them was there, but they switched over all their projectors from film projectors to digital projectors. And because they did that, they couldn't show those movies anymore. The old movies they had on reels that they own the rights to or whatever the situation was where we used to be able to watch it. They didn't have those cameras anymore. So they had to move. They tried to move it to the parking lot by Turner Field, the baseball stadium, the one that, not the new one here,
Yeah.
not the new Brave Stadium, the original one, not the original one, but the last one.
Yeah.
And it wasn't as good. It wasn't a 2-day thing. It was a 1-day thing. They had a blow up screen. Just wasn't as cool. So it was a shame. It was one of my favorite car shows. So yeah. So yeah, the curiosity of when this will all end and if we will go back to the way things were beforehand.
Yep.
That's the big curiosity, right? Is will things go back to the way they were?
Yep. And can
Can
I see my
go
friends?
to the beach?
You don't even like the beach.
I love the beach.
Do you really?
Yeah.
She
Yeah?
freaks out to
Seems
go
fun.
into the water, but
Yeah.
she loves everything else.
Yeah, except for the beach at the Outer Banks where there's crabs. Don't you? Lena has an issue with sand crabs. We went down there at night once. That was the best when we
Oh,
went down there at
They
night.
harassed me.
And you just shine the light and you're just surrounded by them. And these crabs don't care, right? They're coming
don't.
at you. They're not running away from you. Like a couple of them might have had knives. I don't know. There were some bully ass crabs that were trying to get us.
And then she wouldn't go on to
Lena,
the
yeah,
sand.
I had to carry her back to the house. I had to literally carry Lena back to the house because of the crabs. Yeah,
And in Florida at night, I don't want to be outside at night either because there's frogs.
there's frogs in Florida.
Yeah.
Everywhere.
So we went down to the beach near mom, and there was a purple flag, which means watch out for like
Sea
stingrays
life.
and like
No, jellyfish.
jellyfish.
You know what
and
you're
all
supposed to do
that.
if you get stung by a jellyfish?
Huh?
You're supposed to pee on yourself. Yeah, yeah.
No, they said that didn't work anymore.
Oh, really? They just keep saying it doesn't work anymore. It used to work, but our pee is different nowadays. Jellyfish,
all the soda.
jellyfish has evolved to make sure that our
Yeah.
pee does nothing.
So like we were trying to hide it from Lena. Mom told me, but she didn't want me to tell Lena.
Oh, I saw it the first thing we did.
Purple
We-
flag.
no, but
equals
she
sea
told me
monster.
no, but she told me before we went.
You
She
got
told me not to tell you.
How rude.
purple flag means a Godzilla sighting. No.
There was a green flag and a purple flag.
What color flag means that there's pirates? That's all I want to know.
Black.
Black.
Black flag.
I don't know.
Black, with a skull on it.
That's what the pirate flag looks like. That's how you know they're pirates.
That's what it says. That's how you know.
That's how you know pirates.
That's how you know there's pirates. So you gotta have the pirate flag.
Yeah.
All right. So who's up?
Sammy.
Sammy's up. Sammy got one of these two. All right.
What are these two?
Oh, this is good. What will people look back at us 50 years from now and be shocked and appalled by? So what will 50 years, people 50 years in the future, what will they look back at us and be like, I can't believe that they did that? Just like we might look back on like slavery or segregation and say, I can't believe people were so ignorant, even though there's still a lot of racism going on, unfortunately.
Go outside.
You went outside?
Yeah. If the Rona keeps going the way it is.
You went outside?
That's horrible.
You guys went outside? What? You had or
maybe they closed.
You had phones that you actually had to hold.
Oh, what do you think in the future? We're going to have phones built into us?
Oh.
50 years in the future, you think technology is going to install them into
levitating
us?
phones.
Probably.
Levitating phones.
I
So we went we went in two different directions, right? So Lena and I are like, man, implants, phone implants. Sammy's like, I want a levitating phone. Like, I just want it to like hover in front of me, hands free. I just use voice commands. I think it's so we went two totally different ways. Lena and I are like cyber phones.
No, either that or we don't know.
Grain phones, is that what you said?
brain.
Oh, brain phones?
Either that or I don't know.
Or like you have like
phone or
glasses.
something.
Because like you know how they have like Snapchat glasses. So, like,
Yeah.
Like I feel like you can have like glasses that just like,
Yeah.
have your phone on it, and you can like think of what you want to do, and it'll just like pop up.
Well, that was like the kind of the concept with Google Glass.
Yeah.
Where you had these glasses they had on, there was a little computer screen type thing. There's another company that they're actually project like into your eyeball or whatever. It's interesting.
My eyes are
The-
bad enough.
The software isn't. I don't think it's really developed to the point of being really usable on a daily basis. And that was the problem with the Google Glass. I think it was more of a. And you know, with anything like that, there's always going to be. And it's interesting when you look at technology. There's always like early adopters and everything. And for something to really take off, there's like a third of the people that are going to be early adopters, a third of the people that are never going to be adopters or late adopters.
Yeah.
The only time they're going to use it is when everything else is obsolete and they have to use it. And then the middle ones wait to see what happens, you know, so you get a third type of thing. And Google Glass was I think it was a neat concept, definitely.
Yeah.
But it didn't you didn't think about it. You had to like actually say something or do something to get, it wasn't like jacked into your head. It wasn't implanted into like Matrix style with like a jack in the back of your neck where it plugs in or whatever.
You have to like touch it.
So that's what you think? 50 years we're gonna have some kind of floating phone, or we're gonna have some kind of implanted
I think
phone?
the implants are more probable.
Maybe. I
Implant?
don't know.
I don't know. I think there's a lot of resistance to that. I think there's definitely going to be early adopters to something along those lines, but then
Yeah.
there's definitely a lot of people that are like that's just implementing spy software.
Most
into your
of it is
head.
gonna be
Right,
you
control-
guys
they're
went
gonna control you.
outside. You guys went
Oh,
outside.
hopefully in 50 years. Well, it depends. It depends, right? First of all, we have to worry about this virus, right? If the virus thing continues, or over the next 50 years, if there's another virus that comes, right? Because it's possible, because it's not like pandemics are a super rare thing. You know, we had the H1N1 flu in was the 2000s or whatever.
Yeah.
Or the late 90s or whatever it was. I mean, it was 2000s.
2000.
Yeah, I guess it was 2000s. And so we had that. So, you know, in 50 years, there might be something even worse, you know,
Yeah.
unfortunately, that might change the way things are. You know, the problem is a lot of these viruses, the mutations that they have, and sometimes, you know, they're going to become drug resistant or antibiotic resistant and stuff. It's kind of scary.
We'll all be drug resistant.
We'll all be drug resistant? All viruses?
No, all people.
All people? What does that mean?
Like we're just drug resistant people.
Well, we're not the ones that need to be resistant to drugs.
in
The virus
50
needs to
years,
be.
like in 50 years, no one
That would be
need
great
to
if there was
go
no side
outside.
effects from drugs for us to take drugs. If we were resistant to that, but hopefully
Yeah.
the bacteria
Or like
isn't.
there might not need to be like you might not need to go outside.
Again, Wally, we're in the world of Wally at that point,
Apparently,
right?
Yeah.
We're just
like,
a bunch
you
of
can
fat
just, like-
fat people in floating chairs,
Yeah.
just sipping slushies of nutrients, floating around, staring at screens,
Yeah.
just getting bombarded with commercials.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're getting close.
Turn on
Getting
airplane
close.
mode so you don't have to do the ads.
Airplane mode, so you don't do the ads. You got an ad blocker.
Yeah.
That's it. That's gonna be. I'm telling you, they're gonna come up with like the first implanted phone, right?
Yeah.
Number one thing that's gonna happen after that is somebody's gonna create an ad blocker for it, because you know if companies can stream ads directly into your skull, that's the number that you're gonna just be bombarded with advertisement. Talk about
Just close your eyes.
talk about personal space invasion, right? It's just, think about it, McDonald's just piping. And if it's connected to your brain, right? If it, depending on how it's implemented, if it's connected to your brain, think about a food company like a McDonald's, right? Sending a signal out as an advertisement that triggers the sensors in your head to smell chicken nuggets or smell French fries or something like that. How crazy would that be, right?
Yeah.
What an insanely abusive technology that would be. That would be so abusive. Because you know that corporations would be doing that left and right.
They would.
No question about it. If they could trigger different parts of your brain to smell, like Cinnabon, right? Great example. Cinnabon, the place that makes cinnamon rolls and stuff, their exhaust system in their mall stores and stuff like that, it is actually set up to, be careful, the wire's not long enough. They're set up to actually exhaust the smell into the malls. No, be careful with the mic. But the Cinnabons they're there to exhaust the smell of the cooking cinnamon buns into the mall, so you know that there's a cinnamon bun around and it triggers that you want to buy them too. So think of a company could do that in your brain.
Exactly. That.
What do you think of that, Lena?
Interesting.
You gotta get some floor stands, I guess, so we're sitting on that. This is not our standard. The first setup that we had. We're actually in the living room today and sitting on the couch. That would be easier. But the mic stands I have are short, so Lena wanted to chill and sit back on the couch instead of sit up on the couch. So sorry about the noise if you heard some microphone noise there. All right, so you think 50 years from now people are going to look back and think that it was absurd that we carried our phones? Out of everything that's going on,
I don't know.
The other thing about going outside too, we got to think about is climate change. How the Earth is going to be changing in 50 years. We had seasons, and it wasn't hot as hell.
Seasons?
You can go outside during the summer. Think about that, right? Because there's going to be a point where it's like you can't go outside during the summer, maybe because the temperature is going to be crazy or whatever. Or you had to drive to the beach. The beach wasn't like at your doorstep because the ocean levels have come up. Right?
Yeah, literally everything is just the beach.
I don't know. Yeah. There's a lot of ice caps that'll melt and raise that level. Yeah, that's kind of scary. So, but yeah, that's interesting. I think it's interesting that you went right to technology.
I don't know why I went right to technology.
Well, it's perfectly legitimate. It's not a bad thing at all. You know, and it's funny. I think it would be if I want to ask that question to somebody in different age groups and see, because technology is such a huge part of your life. Being 15. Yeah. Right?
Ask your dad.
If you take Pop would be like,
I don't know. How do I use this phone?
Yeah, well, Pop with technology. He's okay with technology. He's not as bad as some of the folks I've seen, but he's not, he's not, well, hell, I'm bad.
He sends emojis at least.
Yeah, he knows how to send emojis and he's excited about it.
Them.
So, yeah.
He doesn't understand. He didn't know what LOL meant.
Yeah,
but I wonder if he'd be more political, because Papa's in his 70s and he's lived through a lot of stuff, so he remembers what things were 50 years ago. So he was in his 20s 50 years ago.
Yeah.
So it's not like he was a child 50 years ago, so he can see how much things have changed, and it would be interesting to ask him what was the most absurd thing he could remember from 50 years ago when he was in his 20s, and see what he would think 50 years from now, what people will think is crazy about us today. I wonder if it's going to be some kind of political thing. I think 50 years from now, people are going to look back and look at Donald Trump and think, what the hell were we thinking?
Exactly.
They're going to be ashamed that yeah. So.
Well, really? They chose this?
Yeah, exactly. I think that'll be a huge thing.
Buffoon.
But we'll see how it goes. And it's funny. I was not a Donald Trump supporter. I'm still not a Donald Trump supporter, but I really did not want him to fail. I would have loved to be like, you know what, he proved us all wrong. He was awesome. I would have no problem saying that, but he's not. So
But he's not.
unfortunately, so we'll see what happens, especially in November with an election. If he gets 2 terms, I think 50 years from now, it's going to be really interesting to see what people think.
Oh God.
All right, so Lena,
My
right?
turn.
Okay. If you had someone following you around all the time,
That's terrifying.
what would you have them do? So think of like a butler or like a maid
Oh, I
or
thought you meant
something
like a
like that.
stalker.
Yeah, no, yeah. It kind of started off that way, and then like you read the rest of it, and it was like, what would you have them do? So apparently they are at your mercy. They'll do whatever you tell them to do. So if you had somebody following you around all the time, what would you have them do?
Either do my nails or get me food.
Constantly doing your nails or getting you food? Yeah.
Th-
That's it. That's a simple answer. Nice.
that is what Lena would do.
Well, what else do they do? Like, I don't want them to travel the world for me. Like,
You want to do that yourself, right? Well, that would, yeah. They wouldn't be following you around if you sent them away.
get out.
Yeah, go travel the world. Tell me what you thought of it. I don't know if I want to go.
If I get tired of them, then I'll just say, go live in China or something, like away.
Beanie bow. I don't know. I thought about there's the red thing. Never mind.
They'll come back, Lena. They'll come back. No, all
I
of
said go live.
Yeah,
Go-
but they'll come back eventually. Maybe.
Live the rest of your life in China.
You're just gonna send them away. So,
Wow.
so you want a nail technician
Mm-hmm.
or just just straight up butler?
Yeah.
Yeah, like a servant.
But they have to be good at doing nails.
Yeah, well, of course. You want somebody mediocre. It's like Sammy following around. You got to have Sammy does your nails for you. No experience, just do my nails. So
No.
you wouldn't want anybody to help you with makeup either? You got
No,
that.
I can do that.
Yeah, you got that on pretty locked down. So
Me helping
Nails.
Lena with makeup. She refuses to let me even try.
what about you,
Oh,
Sammy?
What?
If you had somebody following you around?
Mostly get me food.
Yeah, it's like both of you. It's like
Well, I'm hungry.
it is,
like,
especially
24/7.
during quarantine. Like I can see it in your faces. The most rough thing in the world is for you to walk downstairs out of your rooms to go to the kitchen to get food.
No, it's not.
It looks you guys look miserable.
That's because we just wake up.
That's
whenever
because we
come
are
down and get
miserable.
food.
No.
Dad,
go
also
outside.
because we come downstairs right after we wake up to come and eat, and then we don't come down at all anymore to eat.
No, you're like on third shift. You're like on the night shift. So, all right, last question here for Sammy. We'll start off with Sammy. If you can instantly become one, what? If you can instantly become one, yeah. What would you want to be an expert in?
What?
So if you can instantly become an expert in anything, what would you want to become an expert in? So if all of a sudden you can instantly just know everything about one specific topic, what would you become an expert in?
This is hard.
Yeah, you got to pick one. Pick something. What would you become an expert in?
Guitar.
A guitar? You'd be like the best guitar player in the world?
Guitar or baseball?
Baseball, those are your two options.
Yes.
You would be an expert in guitar or baseball.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
That's fun. What about you?
I would probably do like history or like world economics or whatever, just for school, because I don't like learning about that.
You'd be an expert in history or world economics?
Yeah.
World
Math.
economics, you could leverage that into a good career.
If I
I
had
guess
to
history
pick a
you could,
school,
too.
if
You want to be an expert in the history of everything.
Yeah.
Like that's crazy. That's an insane amount of
Dad.
knowledge. Like your brain would be so full because like people are like experts in history, but it's a specific section of history, right?
All of it.
You just want to know all history, just
Yeah.
general expert in everything that's history.
if I
Or
chose a
current
school
events.
subject,
Mm.
it would either be math or science.
Those are like the easiest subjects.
But being an expert is not
Not-
like just having it. And trust me, math. If you talk about being an expert in math, we're talking about like massive formulas and calculus, and like some of these create like a blackboard full of stuff.
Yeah.
It's not as easy as
You could like win a bunch of competitions.
yeah. Well, you'd have to learn to apply it, right? You just like be an expert in math in general, but it's just like, all right, I can do math problems, but how do I
Want to
apply those math problems to something? So you need somebody else at that point maybe to
See,
come
I
to you.
cannot do math
you would need
problems.
somebody else to come to you and say, hey, we're trying to do X and we need you to solve this problem. And you're able to see the problem and
Yeah.
do the math to solve it,
Exactly.
but you have no idea why or what it does or anything.
Yeah.
That would be bad. Like people would come and tell you, like somebody that's evil, right? Come and be like, hey, expert in math, we need you to solve this equation. You solve it. And next thing you know, it's like
Nuclear bomb.
you gave them the calculation to create like the most insane like fission bomb there ever was that could wipe out humanity,
I
right?
just want. I just
How
need to
crazy
be
would
an
that be?
I just want to be an expert on word problems.
Word
I
problems.
thought you were gonna say like Word documents. I was
No,
like,
Word
what?
Yes, I want to make the prettiest Word documents, Microsoft Word documents. Like I don't even care about the other Microsoft products, just Word.
PowerPoint? No.
Yeah, yeah,
Word?
yeah. I want to make the prettiest documents in Word. I want to know all the shortcuts, be an expert in Word.
Word problems.
Yeah. That's wild.
Word problems. I'm horrible at word
Yeah,
problems.
yeah. So you were history and what was the other one for you?
Current events.
Current events or
World economics.
world economics would be interesting. Current events though. So history would be weird because you'd have to continue like everything that we did yesterday was history. So your brain would be so damn full of stuff because it would just keep growing and growing and growing in knowledge.
I could probably be like a police detective.
From historical purposes?
No, because like if it still counts like everything I did yesterday, like if like let's say if I witnessed an event,
Mm-hmm.
then like I could tell them like in detail like what happened, because most people would forget at least something.
Mm. But the study of history is not necessarily photographic, right? So you might just like say, I'm an expert in history. Well, what happened yesterday was this car ran over somebody,
Yeah.
right? You might not know the details. Like if you go into history books, not everything is super detailed, right? Like, oh, it was a blue car that was a Toyota Corolla and it had the license plate, blah, 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 blah. That's not going to wind up in the history books. It'll be like there was a horrible event where there was an accident and it was a car hit somebody, right? So sometimes with history, you don't get all the details, sometimes vague details.
But wouldn't you be like an expert of yesterday?
Maybe. Depends. I don't know. Or when does something, it's funny because you draw the line on what's considered history and what's just the past, I guess. So again, for me, like, my premise was, every day you're going to have to learn more because every day is part of it. Like every day before is part of history, right?
Especially now because we're in a pandemic.
Yeah, well, it'd be like a very boring history of today I sat in my room.
Today I ate chicken nuggets.
And it would be the history of everything, though. So you'd be bombarded with not just your events, but every event, maybe.
Yeah.
So think about history, though. We only study like a brief section of history. If you knew everything that happened,
about dinosaurs
and everything, that's all speculation. Anyway.
So like, would I like if I was an expert
according
in
to
history,
some people,
if I was an expert at history, would like it already have to been found, or like would I just know?
What do you mean?
If someone does someone have to discover it first?
Well, that's right. Is it written history? Is it oral history? Is it just all history?
Or is it like?
It's an interesting thing to think about. The term history.
I don't know. I just wanted to pass school.
You just wanted to pass school? I don't think you need to become an expert at history to pass school.
Well, I don't like learning about history. So like, if I just knew it, I took a test, and I would be like, "Oh, okay, you passed."
I'm not bad at math.
Or
I just need help with word problems.
Or be an expert in like law, because I want to like study law.
Yeah, that'd be big. You'd be like the best lawyer
first
ever.
15-year-old lawyer ever. I'll take the LSATs right now. Come on.
Yeah. You could be Law and Order.
Dun, dun.
Dun, 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 dun.
I'll be the next
Dun,
Judge
dun,
Judy.
dun, 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 dun.
Know everything
Judge
about
Judy. Ugh.
No,
Ugh.
no.
Ugh.
know everything
Please
about
no.
art.
Everything about art?
Yeah.
That's a lot to know, too.
Exactly.
That's pretty wild.
like
You want to be,
architecture.
so would you want to be an expert as an artist or as an art
artist.
historian? Because that's a too big thing,
Artist.
too, right?
Artist.
Yeah, so there's a big thing. It's practical application because there is definitely art historians that can't draw worth a
Yeah.
damn or paint worth a damn,
I
right?
just want to be an.
That would be me. I'd be more like, oh, I can learn about all the artists and tell you everything about the artist, but it's like I can't.
And then
I'm
there's
not an
me
artist.
over here can draw.
Yeah. So, all right, cool. That's an interesting question, though. It would be an expert. Again, I wonder how that's going to change. Your opinion on that will change.
Yeah.
So, oh well. You guys have anything else?
Should we play Would You Rather?
We can do that maybe next time. Do the Would You Rather. We're at about an hour on the podcast right now.
Yeah.
So next time, instead of doing the interview with Poddex, we can do Would You Rather. Yeah?
Yeah.
Give us something to look forward to for the next podcast.
Yep.
All right. Any final comments?
Nope.
No?
Not really.
All right. Everybody be safe out there. Stay the hell home still. I don't care if your state's opening up or not. Beware the Ronas. All right. Have a great rest of the day, and we will see you guys next time.